Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the news briefing this Wednesday, July 9th. As immigration enforcement actions continue, we are seeing changes in the way some of our local residents access services that they are entitled to. One of the areas we're seeing changes in is in our libraries. We're very pleased to have Library Director Hillary Thayer here to talk about what she is seeing with library services. Hi, Hillary.
Hello, and thank you so much for inviting me today. I wanted to share a bit because our libraries are noticing fewer participants in some of our core programs that we offer, especially during the summer when kids are out of school. And I wanted to share just a moment to make sure everybody knew and was able to share with their communities that you can access lots of services from your public library for any reason you do not want to visit a branch in person. And with your permission, I'll just go through a few of them really quickly and send the slides. Would that be okay?
Yes, please.
All right. Well, first, please just give us a call. Any need at all, if you want to figure out how to best access it for your family. We don't want you to go without when we can anyway fill that gap for you. First of all, we do have a toll-free number that reaches all of our branch libraries. So you do not have to worry if you're in the 805 area code, for example. There we go. Many of the ways we can reach you, even if you don't visit a branch, we can get you physical materials, electronic materials. We can answer your questions. You can participate in programs of all kinds for lots of people. You can have online homework help live with a tutor and lots of online resources available with your library card. So first of all, how do you get a library card? Don't worry about having to come in. We'll mail it to you. You apply online. And we mail those cards anywhere in California. It just takes about 2 to 5 of our working days to get that card right to your doorstep in the mail. This is all California residents. And if you have any unusual living or mailing address situation, please just give us a call. We'll work it out. We can serve people who are getting mail at a shelter, who might be in the hospital, might be at a temporary home, a cabin. They might be a student. They might be in the foster care system. I guarantee you we've seen it all. And our goal is to get you that library card so that you have full access to your library services. Just give us a call. For physical materials, people think, well, I have to come in, I have to place a hold, pick up at the branch. I have to browse the shelves myself. We have a great free service that I brag on constantly, library by mail. If we can mail it to you, we will mail it to you for free, both directions. So this is within the county of Monterey. We send it in this nifty reusable bag that you just, when you're done with your materials, you turn the mailing label around, you reseal the bag, and you drop it right back at that post office or hand it to your post person. It comes right back to us. And this is completely free. There's no registration, there's no proof of need, you don't need a doctor's note. This can be any reason you cannot physically get to or use a branch. And you can use it in any combination with other services. We've had people do it because they're caregiving and the hours simply are not available to them, or they have shift work. They work at night and they're sleeping during the day. We can send you books, audio, video. You can call, write, place a hold, or any combination. We even have a special email address or phone number just for this service. And there's no limits other than what we can physically mail and speed. This is a slow way to get your books. So I always say, if you need it read by next week, give us a call. We'll find another way. Electronic materials. We have 2 books, 2 apps that have online books, downloadable audio. One of them has online magazines for free with your library card. No buying per book. We have animated picture books, comic books, and lots of electronic materials in our online resources, all for free with your library card. We can answer your questions. You can use a web form on our website. You can ask us via email, or you can give us a call. So don't let that information need go unanswered. You can participate in programs. Our summer reading club is going on right now. Lots of gangbusters going on. You can fully participate online, log your activities, log your reading, do it together as a family. And the only visit to a branch is to pick up your prizes. So we love handing out those prizes. We offer virtual programs all year on our YouTube channel. And these are created by our library staff. Everything from teaching American Sign Language to playing the guitar to puppet shows, art projects. They're all there, all for free. We also have lots of other recommended online resources. Now, obviously, those first three bullets require connectivity. So I want to just share another service I love, Dial a Story. That is a toll-free phone number, landline, cell phone. A story is read aloud in English and Spanish, and there's a new story every week. So don't ever let anybody go without a story when you have any kind of phone at your fingertips. We offer lots of other assistance. This is our live online homework help. It has writing lab, language lab, test preparation, help with your Microsoft Office, resume review, live interview practice for helping to get that job, navigating veteran benefits. This is all, again, for free with your library card. So we are seeing fewer people come in. We are assessing what we're offering. We're assessing how we're offering it. We're sort of building the plane as we fly it in some new atmospheres for our communities. But for any reason anybody does not want to or cannot come into one of our physical branches, please know that we can reach you in multiple different ways. Give us a call. Give me a call personally. I'm happy to always chat about the ways we can do things, and you can find this all on our website. So thank you so much for giving me a few minutes just to talk about what we're noticing and all the ways we do want to continue to help.
Hillary, thank you so much for walking through everything. And if anyone hasn't called Dial a Story, it's adorable. Sorry, you've got to try it. You can even be an adult and you might find it adorable as well. But again, connectivity, if you've got a phone and you need a moment with kids who are grumpy, Dial a Story can work very well. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the summer program and lunch at the library, because I know you're seeing some changes in attendance with lunch at the library, and that's really a very important service through the summer for families at a certain income level.
You know, it really is. Lunch at the library is two things coming together at your library. One is there is federal money that helps feeds kids at school. It's called the National School Lunch Program. It exists year-round. What doesn't exist year-round is school. So we partner often with our local school districts. They make meals, we pick them up, and we serve them at the library. And you can find all of that on our calendar of events. Now, that money is tied to the kids having to come and eat on site. That's one of the conditions of that particular federal money. Among the changes we're making, the services we're adding is trying to get other food services to come at the same time. So for example, Monterey County Food Bank might come to one of our libraries at the same time that we're serving lunch so that adults can collect bags of produce and fresh fruit and other food that they can then take home. So we encourage you to stop by, bring the kids. Any kid under 18 can eat. They just have to eat on site. And we often add up extra activities. What we're noticing is that people are still coming, just not as many. And we know the kids are out there, we know the families are out there, and we're doing everything we can to help.
And Hillary, that is something that you really can't do online. I mean, this is one of those things where they've got to be there. Is there any encouragement that you can give to people who are entitled to lunch at the library to make them perhaps feel a little safer about attending?
You know, we are happy to talk to anybody in person about how we can help their library use feel the safest it can for them. It may be the physical layout of the library. It may be where we are serving the lunches. Some are serving inside, some are serving outside. It may be the time they want to come. Do they want to come right as the program is starting? Right as the program is ending. And I encourage everybody to call your local branch and visit your local branch because it really is in the localities that we can tell you the best way we can serve you. And if you are not comfortable coming for an hour or two to say, hey, it's not possible to take the food away, is it possible that I could take an activity away that we can do later instead of staying on site to do the activity? And again, our libraries and our librarians are just so amazing and flexible, and we're here to help.
And for people who don't know, that you post the schedule for everything on all your socials so that people can find out, what time, at what library, at what branch, and, also as what activity, is happening for people that can stay and can enjoy some of the fun things that you do.
Absolutely. Our social media, our online calendar of events, which is linked from our website, and we adjust the web pages for summer with the master schedules. So you can see when is the puppet show coming or when is the teen craft being done. Sometimes people will miss an in-person program. It's just not scheduled at a time that's convenient for them. And we often can refer to one of our online offerings or say, hey, if you're not going to be able to come at this branch, they're going to be 2 weeks later at this other branch. Do you know where that is? And you could go there.
And I have to tell you, your staff and your YouTube channel, they must get an Academy Award for the most creative government staff with a YouTube channel. Because if you don't know how to play the guitar, you can learn how to play the guitar on your YouTube channel. It's really a great program.
It really is. We have uncovered massive talents among our library staff for skills they don't normally get to use on the job until we say, how about you make a video on that? And then you get to see how skilled and talented they are.
Great. Thank you, Hillary, so much for sharing all this really important information. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're entering a time of year when public safety power shutoffs are a real possibility. In fact, several areas in our county have been impacted by those just recently. So many people still have questions about how the shutoffs are determined and how they work and all, how it happens. And so we've got a great trio of people from PG&E here to talk about these shutoffs. Welcome to Jeremy Howard, Geoff Money, and Jazmine Venegas to tell us about what people should know about public safety power shutoffs. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Absolutely, and we are so grateful for the invitation and the ability to inform the public about public safety power shutoffs. Like you said, we are in fire season, and Monterey County was impacted just a couple of weeks ago. We experienced two back-to-back events starting on June 19th, and then another one happening on its heels on the 21st, which was a Saturday. So people were out of power for up to 4 days if they were impacted by both back-to-back events. And so it is important that we remind folks why we do this, and also help them understand what information is out there so that they know how to be prepared if they are impacted. This is Jazmine, everybody. Hi, my name is Jazmine Venegas. I'm the government relations rep for PG&E covering this area, and I am accompanied by my teammates, Jeremy Howard, regional service manager, and Geoff Money, who's our public safety specialist. And so I'll go ahead and hand it off to Geoff to cover the first slide, and we'll go from there.
Great, thank you, Jazmine. Good afternoon, everybody.
Oh, sorry, Geoff. I think I need to share my screen.
Okay.
1 second. I don't know. Oh, there we go.
And Geoff, if you want to get started while Jazmine is pulling it up, that's good too.
Sure. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Geoff Money. I am a public safety specialist for PG&E. My primary roles in Monterey County and San Benito counties are to work with the first responders on emergencies within the area with gas emergencies or wildland fires, and provide training for those entities throughout the time, and respond to the incidents and work as basically a liaison between the first responders or the incident commander and PG&E. But when we do go to a public safety power shutoff, and these are very, very, we take these events very serious at PG&E, because we know the importance of power and how much it is needed for everybody from medical devices to this day-to-day life. We don't put these public safety power shutoffs on just because. They are our primary, they are put on to prevent catastrophic wildfires. And some of the criteria that, must come with the situation is that the humidity, the relative humidity is below 30%. And then they have the forecasted winds that occur, 19 miles an hour that are sustained. And then they get gusts up to 30 to 40 miles an hour. And then another big one is when the Weather Service, the National Weather Service, will declare areas within our county or around the surrounding areas as a red flag warning. With, again, majority of the time these do occur in the summer months and the late fall because of the dry vegetation that we have during the summertime, which, creates the wildland fires along with the wind and so forth. So that's what we're trying to prevent. We also have personnel that are strategically located throughout the areas, and they are doing actual real-time weather determination for us to make sure that we're meeting all the criteria. And then again, I want to emphasize that this is done at a very, very high level in PG&E, where our Emergency Operations Center, or EOC, is opened up in San Ramon, where we have executive vice presidents and meteorologists that we have on staff, all determined based on the weather and the forecasts, and take all this into event so that they can prevent these catastrophic wildfires from preventing. During the last two events, we did have damage that occurred on a couple of our lines during the inspection process. So after the power is shut off for a period of time, they will be, the power lines have to be visually inspected. And that is either by ground, by air in some remote places, or by hiking. They will use drones, but the drones have to be in line of sight from the operator. So they just can't fly over a ridge and continue to fly. They have to be in line of sight. So they found two areas in that last PSPS event that could have possibly started. But again, that is the reason why the power is being shut off, is to prevent those catastrophic wildfires like that we have seen that have occurred, recently in the past few months and so forth. That's pretty much all I have for my presentation. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Jeremy, my colleague, who will talk about the next slide.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you, Geoff. Appreciate it. And Jazmine, if you're able to click forward one slide.
Okay.
There it goes. Perfect. Well, one of the, Geoff really hit the nail on the head with, we do this really as a to prevent a catastrophic wildfire from occurring. And those weather conditions, when they reach that level of low humidity and high winds, we obviously, any spark can start a fire that can grow into a major conflagration. So one of the most important pieces of our PSPS program is how we were able to communicate with customers. Because of our meteorology team, and again, we have a very extensive meteorology team at PG&E, and we have a litany of weather stations and cameras that are scattered throughout all of PG&E service area, and hundreds of them here in Monterey and Santa Cruz and San Bernardino County as well. We're able to use all of that weather data to really predict where we expect to see these high winds and these extreme fire conditions. And because of the ability to predict that, we're able then to reach out to our customers in advance and give them a heads up about the fact that we may need to de-energize the electricity serving their homes and businesses for the purposes of public safety. So what we do is, with our meteorology team, they're looking at the forecasted weather, and we can usually predict within 48 to 24 hours of the need to de-energize customers for this public safety power shutoff event. We're able to get a notification out to our customers to say, just a heads up, the weather is appearing as though we may need to de-energize for public safety. So that warning goes out. That gives customers a chance to make plans. Maybe it's, you know, to buy fuel for their generator. Maybe it's to consider going and staying at a relative's house. Maybe it's to just get their general preparations in order for being without power for potentially, you know, a day or 2 days or 3 or 4 days, depending on the severity of the event. And as you know, and as that time gets closer and closer to what we'll call time zero, when we actually expect the weather to hit, you know, we're continually monitoring. We're always wanting to get the latest, you know, just the latest assessment from our meteorology team. Is the weather still on track? Has it gotten worse? Has it gotten better? And we're able to kind of update those models on a very frequent basis. If the weather models continue to show that the weather is coming through as predicted, usually within 1 to 4 hours of the weather starting, we'll send out a warning message to our customers as well, letting them know that, hey, we're getting really close to de-energization, turning power off, and we'll send that message out. So one of the other important things that I want to make sure people, and Geoff hit on this, is we don't take this lightly at all. We recognize that while we're doing this for public safety, there's a public safety risk of doing it as well, right? There are customers that we have that are reliant upon an oxygen machine, reliant upon CPAP machines, reliant upon refrigeration to keep medications cool. We understand the impacts of that. So there's a give and a take there a little bit. So we review, you know, literally hour by hour what the weather is doing. And we have meetings called confirm, cancel, delay. And what we're looking at is we've prepared to shut power off. We're monitoring the weather. The weather is not producing the winds and the severity that we expect. So we delay. And every hour we're going through that same process. We may delay and delay and delay for several hours. And then maybe the weather starts to get better. So we'll actually cancel the event. But at the same time, we're communicating to our customers through all of those steps. And then if we get to the point where, okay, the weather has you know, validated that it's matching the forecast, we do need to de-energize. Obviously, we're going to go ahead and turn the power off for public safety. So we communicate to our customers, again, 28 to 48 hours in advance, kind of giving them the heads up that this could occur. Same type of communication, 1 to 4 hours in advance, letting them know we're getting really close to de-energizing. And then we'll communicate again once the power has been shut off. And of course, we'll also communicate if we end up canceling the event because the weather wasn't as severe as we forecast. After the severe weather has passed, assuming we went ahead with the process of turning power off, we'll notify customers that the severe weather has passed. And now we're going into our restoration stage, which is where we go out. And as Geoff mentioned, we patrol with helicopters, with drones, by foot, by driving lines that we can see from the roadways. We want to ensure that there are no downed trees on top of our lines. There's no patio umbrellas hung up in the lines, anything like that would have blown around during the wind event that when we restore power could potentially cause a fire. So we go out and we patrol every foot of our power lines within the scope of the public safety power shutoff event. And once we've confirmed that it's safe to restore power, we'll go ahead and restore power and notify customers that the power has been restored. So if you are staying at a relative's house, maybe on the other side of town or in a nearby town, you get that text message or that phone call or email letting you know power has been restored, then it's safe for you to go home. However, if we do find damage, sometimes the estimated time of restoration that we had originally sent you may drift or may change due to the fact that we have to make some repairs. So we will communicate any updates to the estimated time of restoration as well. So once power has been restored, you know, that's sort of our last communication on the event. And but we want to make sure that everybody is sort of kept up to date with what is happening. Another great resource during the event is if you have access to the internet, even though the power is off, you can still go to our pge.com/outage map website and see all of the updates. And you can even see where, before the event even starts, you can see where we expect power to be shut off. So it's a great resource as well. With that, I'll turn it over to Jazmine to kind of take us through a couple of different variations between two of our wildfire safety programs.
Thanks, Jeremy, and thanks, Geoff. That's right. So PG&E uses two key wildfire safety tools, and we refer to these as ignition reduction tools. So they really are something that helps us mitigate wildfire caused by our equipment. And one of them is the enhanced power life safety settings, and the other is what we're talking about today, public safety power shutoffs. These two tools are often compared and sometimes confused. And so I want to provide a breakdown of how they differ so that folks understand the differences and when they're to know the difference between when they're experiencing an EPSS shutoff versus a PSPS, excuse me, shutoff. So the enhanced power line safety settings are an automated safety system that quickly shuts off power within 1/10 of a second when a hazard is detected, like a tree branch hitting a power line or a squirrel running on the power line. Those tend to be the usual causes of when an EPSS shutoff is triggered. And it's used during a high fire risk, and these EPSS settings are activated on circuits that are in high fire risk and surrounding areas. And they're typically run from May to November, but can occur year-round in some areas. So that's just depending on the conditions, right? That's really just an estimate. The notification process is that there is no advanced notification. Outages are unplanned and triggered by real-time hazards. And so customers will receive regular updates once they've been impacted by the shutoff. They'll start receiving notifications telling them that they're experiencing a power outage with expected time of restoration updates, and then communications once power has been restored. However, they don't get that proactive notification telling them that it's coming, because it's not something that we can predict. On the other hand, when we activate a public safety power shutoff event, this is a planned outage that happens during extreme weather conditions to prevent wildfires. And so this we can predict usually within a few days before it happens, just like Jeremy outlined in his portion of the presentation. And so folks are getting notification in advance to be able to plan their situation during the impact. And the purpose of the public safety power shutoff really is to act as a last resort measure to reduce wildfire risk during high wind, low humidity, and dry vegetation conditions. And again, it's used in areas with elevated wildfire risk, and it's something that we monitor in real time with our meteorology department to activate based on weather forecasts and real-time conditions. The notification process, as I mentioned, is that advance notice is provided, and PG&E alerts customers via text, email, and phone, as Jeremy said. And this can last longer than EPSS outages because of just the nature of the restoration and the weather. And so customers are given time to prepare in those situations. And that is those are the two main differences. But during wildfire season, these are the two events that customers can be expecting to be impacted by: an EPSS related outage or a public safety power shutoff outage. And that is the end of our presentation. So if there are any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you for this really thorough look at what we experience often. And I really am hoping someone will talk a little bit about the down to the last minute decision making, because I think for the customer, they're getting the notifications that this could happen and that will keep you notified. On the safety end, we're seeing communication with PG&E saying, we haven't decided yet. We're still waiting for that last forecast. Really, there have been times where it's just come down to the last minute and it didn't happen, where you had notified people that it could happen. And we're all thinking, oh, it's going to happen and we're going to help support the information. And, you know, we're all dressed up for the party and there's no party to go to. So I'm hoping there's some reassuring information you can give to people to say how seriously you take turning off their power.
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer that one. And it's a great question. And again, because of the, there's as I mentioned during my presentation, the risk on both sides, right? If we turn the power off, there's an impact to our customers. We recognize that. So again, the decision is not made lightly, and we always want to err on the side of public safety because, we have all seen how destructive and how catastrophic some of these wildfires can be. So that's our ultimate goal, is to prevent that from happening. But you're right, it can come down to a very, very last minute decision. So again, forecasting for weather, we've all seen the weatherman make a mistake, right? Sometimes they say it's going to rain and it doesn't. So we recognize that forecasting isn't a precise science. and then being able to, as we get closer and closer to seeing how that forecast plays out, sometimes it's, we anticipated high winds, but it only ends up being, moderate winds, in which case we would cancel the event. So again, those last minute decisions, we go minute by minute trying to decide, okay, based on the weather and all of the data that we're getting, what is it telling us to do? And sometimes we'll delay, as I mentioned, we may delay it for hours and hours and hours, waiting to see what the weather's actually going to do, and eventually we may end up canceling it just because the weather didn't match the forecast, or we may end up de-energizing for safety.
Thank
If I
you
may
for
jump
that.
in, Jeremy.
Go ahead.
Sorry, if I may jump in. I mean, nonetheless, the impact, the outage, the PSPS outage we had just a few weeks ago, I think falls in the category of, I think this has been an area where we have canceled some prior events. And so I just can't stress the importance of always being prepared and taking these notifications seriously, despite the fact that there is there's a possibility that the event may not happen. It's always important to be prepared, and always happy to help provide support wherever we can there.
Thank you. And then I did get a question. The most common frustration from residents who have experienced SPS is food loss. If their power's been out for 3 days, the refrigerator just can't hold it together that long. And they always ask, is there anything I can do? And that's the most common question media gets, as well as we get the same questions, on social media at the county. What information is there for people about that?
Jeremy, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take a run at it. So I totally recognize, there's certain things that are going to go, that are going to be perishable after 3 days of no power. We always, encourage customers to keep the refrigerator door closed during outages, even if it's a short outage. Keep the refrigerator door closed. It will remain cold for a number of hours and even up to a day. And then in the situations where it goes beyond, a couple days. Unfortunately, food is going to spoil, and obviously we don't want anybody to get sick. So we encourage folks to get rid of food that is at risk of spoiling. We do have customers are welcome to file claims. Typically, what we find is that because it's an event that is not PG&E driven, in other words, we're at the mercy of Mother Nature. Claims for spoiled food are typically not paid. But what we also want to encourage folks to do, depending on on their ability to get food from food banks. I know a lot of the food banks do step up during PSPS times to help replenish people's food supplies. And then there are some benefits that get paid to customers who experience outages longer than 48 hours. It's a small amount of money in comparison to what food costs are. We recognize that, but it is an automatic credit that comes on people's bills when they have an outage longer than 48 hours.
Thank you very much for answering that question, because we get that question after every situation, and now at least we've got an answer in our hip pocket that we can answer for, and we can direct people in the right direction. Thank you all very much for being here to talk about this, and fingers crossed we don't have to see you for a while, right?
That's right. Fingers crossed. But in any event, we're here to support. So thank you again for the invitation. Glad to be here.
Thank you for sharing this information. Really very helpful. Appreciate it. All right. Last but definitely not least, we've got a really interesting topic for you. Are you a local business, perhaps looking for a little cutting edge technology to add to your workforce? You don't have to look very far. Coming up about the middle of this month, there'll be a very special event which invite businesses to meet with innovators from the Naval Postgraduate School to check out dual use technology. We're very pleased to have folks from the Naval Postgraduate School here to talk about the Flip the Pitch event. And I'd like to welcome Kaitie Penry and Dave Nystrom to talk about the event. Thank you both for being here.
No, thank you so much for having us. Really excited to be able to be here and talk about this event. Let me just pull up the deck now.
This could be the most interesting event I've never heard of. So I am really thrilled to hear about it.
Okay, can you guys see the deck okay? Is it in?
Sure can, and you could resize it a little bit for easier view.
Yep, just trying to get that to happen. Okay, all right.
Go.
Great. Thank you
Perfect.
so much. So I'm Kaitie Penry. I'm the Director for Emerging Technology and Innovation at the Naval Postgraduate School. I've had the opportunity to live in Monterey for about 2 years now. It's been a really great county to come to and be a part of. And I think that there's so much potential here with all of the new industry startups that are starting to come to the area. And, you've seen opportunities like the reservoir start to grow out of Monterey. So excited to put in a new event for local industry to come take part of. So what is From Lab to Launch? So Lab to Launch really is looking at bringing in industry players as well as venture capitalists to come in and listen to pitches from NPS inventors. So we have 5 NPS inventors who will be pitching the technology that they've patented with the idea of having industry then license that technology, and whether they're going to use it, for to sell back to the government or to use in the commercial space. So this opportunity is really to come in and gain that early access to cutting edge technology, see innovations that have been designed with the end user in mind and sometimes by the end user themselves, and then also to then possibly license that technology and move forward with it. So the event will be happening 23 July from 2 p.m. to 3:30 on the NPS campus in one of our newly redesigned buildings. And this is a little bit of a short turnaround for everyone on this call and that this is going out to. We do need registration by 11 July because we will need to be able to process base access. So if you don't have a common access card where you'd be able to regularly get onto a military base, then we have paperwork that people need to fill out to be able to get onto base. So the 5 pieces of technology that we'll have at the event, and this is our first time doing this event, so really excited to have people come in and also provide feedback on how it goes and what they would like to see in the future. But the 5 pieces we'll have for this event, we have what we call a Weevil. It's a spherical underwater autonomous vehicle that's really agile, really modular, and is meant to get into tight spaces as well as provide camera angles once you're within those tight spaces. The next one is an advanced diving suit. I think that this is really, really applicable to the Monterey County ecosystem. So we've had an inventor here on campus who's developed this advanced diving suit that provides almost 5 times the warmth of a normal diving suit while actually increasing the flexibility of the diving suit itself. The next one we have is a counter UAV system. So thinking, if you have an agricultural business, you're trying to keep drones out of your airspace, this is something that you could attach to your own drone that could then go out and make sure that your airspace remains clear, that there's nothing coming in. If this is something that could be used around airports, that you're trying to keep an anti-drone space around. The next one is actually titanium for advanced manufacturing. So being able to 3D print with a new type of titanium, and it's become very light, but very, very corrosion resistant. It can be used in aerospace. It can be used in defense applications. It could be used in shipbuilding. And it's just a really cool, sorry, the lights just went out here. As well as then the last one is a reduced EMI inverter system. So this is really taking being able to have more efficient power without the bulky filters or added complexity. This is probably the most technical one. So with each of these pieces of technology, we'll have the inventor themselves pitching it, and then they'll be there to answer any questions, to have follow-on conversations, and to take next steps if people are interested in it. So right here is just a QR code for registration as well as the link itself. As I said, really need people to register by this Friday, especially if you're going to need to fill out the form for base access. But happy to answer any questions.
This is just really fantastic stuff. This is amazing. And people forget that we have these amazing science and technology resources right in our own backyard. For this event coming up, who should attend? Who are the people who've got they've got their stuff, they're ready to pitch it. Who do they want to pitch it to?
Yeah, we're really looking for any type of industry, right? Whether that means you're a small startup that's just gone off the ground or you're an established industry partner. We're looking at venture capitalists. But we've also invited the people out of kind of the business school out of CSUMB to attend, as their students go through business classes there. Maybe they can build out a plan around a piece of technology and then they want to license it and form a startup. So really people who are looking to start a product and launch it around this piece of technology.
I also saw something that agriculture is king in Monterey County. I'm seeing some agriculture applications in some of these things as well. Do you see that?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. So registration deadline end of this week, July 11th.
Yes.
People have questions like they're not sure that their industry would be a fit here. Can they use the QR code to get information? Can they use the registration link to ask questions?
They can definitely use the QR code, and then I'm happy to share my email if people have further on conversation or further questions about the event and if whether or not they'll be a fit.
Great. And I think I've got your email and I'm going to go ahead and put it in our post-briefing push out. And then we'll be sharing this on social as well. So fingers crossed. What a fantastic event. Are your innovators pretty excited? Are they, they're ready to go? Their pitches are dusted off and ready?
They are very excited. This is very new for most of them, right? And they're very used to giving academic pitches. So giving this kind of almost more of an investor pitch is new for them. They're very excited. They're excited to get their ideas out there and to have, I think, other people be interested in them and want to continue growing those products and see them evolve.
And a question about the inventors. Are they people here on short term or are they long term at Naval Postgraduate School? So if we've got people who are short term, this might be a rare chance to take a look at a particular item.
Yeah, so 4 of the inventors are faculty here at Naval Postgraduate School. And then one of the inventors we're flying in, and he's a alumni of Naval Postgraduate School. So he's on to his next duty station, but he's flying back in to present the technology.
Fantastic. Kaitie, thank you so much for walking us through this. Really excited to hear how it turns out. And we're going to just really fingers crossed for great results for your innovators.
Thank you so much.
And thanks everyone for joining us on the briefing this week. Our next